Are you sending it to me now? Okay. Sorry, please, everyone. Let's, once it comes up, please send it, Tawfiq, so that we can start. Okay, I've seen it. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. All praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has given us yet another opportunity to continue our study in this Aqidah session. Our kitab remains the Aqeedah of AhlusSunnah Jama. of Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih Al-Uthaymin rahmatullah alayhi. Last week we entered into a new fasl discussing the belief in Qadar, the divine decree, predestination. And Sheikh wrote, and we said this is our 76th lesson now, or 77th lesson, today being the 5th day in the month of Rabiul Awwal, 1441 after the historic hijrah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Mecca to Medina, which is equivalent to the, what's today's date? 3rd of November 2019, the Christian era. Last week, as a recap from your kitab, the last chapter, believe in Qadar. وَنُؤْمِنُ بِالْقَدَرِ. We believe in Qadar. That is the decree, the divine decree, predestination. خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ. The good side of it and the evil consequences of it. The good consequences and the evil consequences of it. وَهُوَ تَقْدِيرُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And this is the predetermined, the predetermination of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lil kainat regarding things that will happen. Isn't it? حَسْبُ مَا سَبَقَ بِهِ ilmuhu, according to his prior knowledge. Allah's knowledge before everything happens. Allah's knowledge before all these things come into play, before even predetermining them. Isn't it? Divine knowledge. وَاقْتَدَتْهُ حِكْمَتُهُ. And what is consistent with what? With his knowledge. Am I communicating? With his wisdom of one. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed is consistent with what? With the divine wisdom. You will never find fault in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed. Walil Qadar, Sheikh said, Qadar has 4 levels. Arba'u maratib. It has 4 levels, isn't it? Al-martabatul ula, al-ilm. The first level is knowledge. We're talking about divine knowledge here, which means فَنُؤْمِنُ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٍ. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has absolute knowledge regarding everything. Allah knows everything. There is nothing that is hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has prior knowledge of everything, and Allah knows everything, hidden and apparent, even before its occurrence. And if it didn't happen, how it would have happened. Allah has full knowledge of everything. Am I communicating? A child that died in infancy, Allah has the full knowledge of what that child would have turned into if he had grown. That is divine knowledge, isn't it? علم ما كان وما يكون وكيف يكون بعلمه الأزلي الأبدي. The knowledge of Allah regarding what was, what will be, and how it will be, because of Allah's eternal knowledge regarding all these things. فَلَا يَتَجَدَّدْ لَهُ عِلْمٌ بَعْدَ الجَّهْلِ. Allah does not acquire new knowledge after ignorance. So ignorance is not attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We acquire new knowledge after being ignorant of certain things, isn't it? So فَلَا يَتَجَدَّدْ لَهُ عِلْمٌ بَعْدَ جَهْلِ. There is no any acquisition of new knowledge after ignorance. وَلَا يُلَحِقُهُ نِسْيَانٌ بَعْدَ عِلْمٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forget after he has known. So humans acquire new knowledge after being ignorant of that. Humans forget the knowledge they have acquired. This is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know with regards to Allah, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. Al-martabatu thaniya, the second level, al-kitaba. Al-kitaba, that is, everything has been written. فنؤمن بأن الله تعالى كتب في اللوح المحفوظ ما هو كائن إلى يوم القيامة. We also believe that the second level of belief in Qadr is Al-Kitaba. Allah has written, isn't it? Allah has written everything في لوح المحفوظ, in the preserved tablet. ما هو كائن إلى يوم القيامة. Everything that will occur, everything that will be till eternity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written this. Allah commanded the pen to write, and it asked what it should write, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked it to write everything that will be till eternity, till Yawm al-Qiyamah. So Allah has this knowledge. Allah said, Alam ta'alam anna Allah ya'alamu ma fi as-sama'i wal ard, inna dhalika fi kitabin, inna dhalika ala Allah yasir. Know you not, Alam ta'alam, don't you know you not, anna Allah ya'alamu ma fi as-sama'i wal ard, that verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the full knowledge of everything that is in the heavens and on the earth. Inna dhalika fi kitab, the knowledge of this is, ilmu li jami'i dhalik. Inna dhalika fil kitab, fi kitabin, all of this is in the book. Yani the preserved tablet. Inna dhalika ala Allah yasir. Inna dhalika ilmuhu li jami'i dhalik. The knowledge of Allah regarding all of these things is very easy. Allah has full knowledge of everything. So we believe in this divine knowledge, isn't it, that precedes everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed. Allah knows, we don't know, isn't it? Allah knows what will happen, we don't know what will happen. So we're not going to say, if Allah has written what will happen, why then do we have to exert effort? Because we don't know. Allah knows, but we don't know, isn't it? So what you don't know, will you use it as an excuse? All right. Al-martabatu thalitha, the third level, al-mashi'a, that is will. فَنُؤْمِنُ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى قَدْ شَاءَ كُلُّ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had willed everything that is on the is in the heavens and on the earth. La yakunu shay. There is nothing that will happen illa bi mashi'atihi, except by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah, what Allah wills happens, what He does not will does not happen. Ma sha Allahu kan wa ma lam yasha lam yakun. Whatever Allah wills happens. That which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not will does not happen. Al-martabatu rabi'a, the fourth level, al-khalq, that is creation. Allah is the creator of everything, including our actions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of everything. This is the fourth level. فَنُؤْمِنُ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ ta'ala, we believe that verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala خالق كل شيء وهو على كل شيء وكيل. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of everything, and He has power and authority, is able to do everything. Am I communicating? That is ability, that is divine power. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of all things and is the guardian over all things. To Him belongs the keys to the heavens and the earth. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, له مقاليد السماوات والأرض. وهذه المراتب الأربعة, these four levels under belief in Qadr, شاملة لما يكون من الله تعالى نفسه ولما يكون من العبادة. This encompasses what Allah Himself does, af'al, what Allah Himself does, وَلِمَا يَكُونُ مِنَ الْعِبَادِ, and that which the servants do. Am I communicating? فَكُلُّ مَا يَقُومُ بِهِ الْعِبَادِ مِنْ أَقْوَالٍ أَوْ أَفْعَالٍ أو تروك فهي معلومة لله تعالى. Whatever a person undertakes, whatever the servants undertake, whatever we do, isn't it? Min aqwalin, of words, aw af'alin, of actions. What I'm saying now, what I'm doing or what you're doing, aw turukin, or omission, what you did not do, فَهِيَ مَعْلُومَةٌ لِلَّهِ تَعَالَى. It is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maktuba, written, indahu, written with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is written with him, indahu. Wallahu ta'ala, verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, قَدْ شَاءَهَا وَخَلَقَهَا. Allah had willed it and Allah had created it. Hence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, liman sha'a minkum ay yastaqim, ay, to those amongst you who wish to be upright, ay yastaqim, to be righteous, to be upright. If you desire to be upright, liman sha'a minkum ay yastaqim, wa ma tasha'una illa ay yasha Allahu rabbul alamin. And you will not will except Allah wills, the Lord of the worlds. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا قَتَتَلُوا. If Allah had willed, they wouldn't have what? They would have fought one another. We discussed this when we were discussing Mashiach. We said what? There is what? Iradatul Kawni. We have Iradatul Kawni and what? Shar'i. The universal will and the legislative will. This one is وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا قَتَتَلُوا وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَفْعَلُ مَا يُرِيدُ. Irada. If Allah had willed, they wouldn't have fought one another. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does whatever He wills. Am I communicating? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا فَعَلُوهُ فَذَرْهُمْ وَمَا يَفْتَرُونَ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had willed, مَا فَعَلُوهُ, they would not have done so. Isn't it? They did what they did because Allah had willed it. If Allah had not willed it, they wouldn't have been able to do what they did. Then Allah said, فَذَرْهُمْ, leave them alone. وَمَا يَفْتَرُونَ, and that which they fabricate. The falsehood which they fabricate, leave them. If Allah had not willed, they wouldn't have been able to even do that. So even your actions is as a result of what? The will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, divine will. وَلَكِنَّنَا, however, مَعَ ذَلِكَ نُعْمِن بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى جَعَلَ لِلْعِبَادِ اختيارا وقدرة بهما يكون الفعل. Upon all this, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala جَعَلَ لِلْعَبْدِ, Allah has given the servant اختيارا, free will, وقدرة, and ability, بهما يكون الفعل. Whatever a servant does, it's as a result of the combination of these two things, the free will and the ability to do whatever you have done. Am I communicating? Yes, Allah has written what will be, but you don't know. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had equally shown us the two broad ways. Am I communicating? Who can give me the verse? Allah has shown us two broad ways. What are these? Wa alaikum assalam. What are these two broad ways? Price tag. I can't give you a clue. 500 naira. Because of that now, because this guy forgot to collect his money last week, so I have to put money against my principle. I have to put money in my pocket now. I don't move around with money. So, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. Another verse again. Another verse. Inna hadaynahu sabila imma shakiran wa imma kafura. Another one. Another one. Uh, Allah has shown us the two broad ways, isn't it? Maybe you have brought it. I'm trying to stress your brain before I can give you 500 naira. All right. Allah has shown us with the free will that Allah has given to us and the ability, so we won't come at the end of the day and say, but Allah has written it for me to sin. No. Allah has given you ikhtiyaran, qudratan, free will and ability. So Allah didn't leave you there. Allah showed you the two broad ways. This path leads to Jannah and the other path leads to Jahannam. Isn't it? Am I communicating? Now, it's a bit tricky, isn't it? Well, you can't hide under Qudra and say it's a justification for the sins you have committed. Because the answer we're going to give you here, or what we're going to use to challenge you will be, did you know that you were going to commit that sin? Before you committed the sin, you had the option of not committing it. We all have options. Why don't you go and stand in the middle of the highway? If Allah had willed, a car will come and hit you. If He hadn't willed it, you will still survive, and all the drivers will dodge you. And they'll say, this is a madman, let's just dodge him. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you just lock yourself up in the room, and wait for the examinations to come, and you go out and write the examinations, and if you fail, you say, well, Allah has written it that I will fail. Why did you have to go through the strenuous process of attending lectures and doing assignments? Why do you have to pay school fees? Why do you have to do all these things? Why don't you just sit down and say, Allah has written everything? Now, which means we have the free will to decide what to do and what not to do. Because we only get to know of what Allah has written for us after its occurrence. And we're going to get to that. So, walakinnana, I hope it's written in your kitab. So we're reading from the book and translating. وَلَكِنَّنَا مَعَ ذَلِكَ نُؤْمِنْ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى جَعَلَ لِلْعَبْدِ اخْتِيَارًا. Aside the fact that Allah has willed everything, and whatever Allah wills happens. Not what you desire, but what Allah wills, isn't it? Our actions. We also believe with this standard belief, isn't it? We don't know what Allah has willed, isn't it? We only get to know of it after its occurrence. So why should we hide under that and be suffering from laxity, not praying, and say, if Allah had willed that, this is what the kuffar said. If Allah had willed, we wouldn't have been mushriks. We wouldn't have committed shirk. They said it, they use it as an excuse. So why will you be like the mushrikun of Makkah? Am I communicating? All right. Allah has given us free will. Allah has given us the ability to do, to act. وَالدَّلِيلُ عَلَىٰ أَنَّ فِعْلَ الْعَبْدِ بِاخْتِيَارِهِ وَقُدْرَتِهِ أُمُورٌ. The following matters will solidify our belief that apart from the fact that Allah has written everything that will happen, our actions are as a result of our free will and ability. And if we have exhausted these 5 things that I'm going to reference now, that the Sheikh has referenced, is in your kitab, isn't it? You will logically understand why Islam keeps reminding us that our actions are as a result of our free will and qudra. Ansar. Kagudugo. Do you understand? Now, please pay attention. This is a very tricky thing. We spoke about fatalism last week, isn't it? Fatalism, that the Europeans and the enemies of Islam, they use this fatalism that Muslims are compelled to do things because it has been written. They have no any option. Bismillah, ya Sheikh. Engineer, there is seat. It's not filled. Do you understand? Am I communicating? Now pay attention. Because you have been told that well, whatever you do has been predestined. And now it becomes problematic. Why then am I punished for things that I cannot avert? Well, you listen to this. One, al-awwal. We're trying to establish the evidence that whatever we do is as a result of our choice and ability. We can't blame it on qadr. Al-awwal, the first evidence to buttress this point, qawluhu ta'ala, the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fa'tu harthakum anna shi'tum, regarding a man and his wife. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so approach your places of cultivation. Arthakum, Allah referred to the wives as your places of cultivation. It's in tandem with the reality that the wife conceives and she gives birth, isn't it? Now, when you plant your seed, isn't it? You cultivate it from it. Am I communicating? And scholars have also used this, as evidence, as we have seen here, to establish the fact that you have free will. Am I communicating? So Allah said, فَأْتُوا حَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّا شِئْتُمْ. So approach your places of cultivation, yani your wives, however you will. However you will. Isn't it? Except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden. Am I communicating? Okay. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, in another place, I'm not giving you the references because it's already written in the kitab, isn't it? In another place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَوْ أَرَادُوا الْخُرُوجَ لَأَعَدُّوا لَوْ عُدَّةً. This is regarding the munafiqs. وَلَكِنْ كَرِيَ اللَّهُ بِعَثَهُمْ. But Allah disliked that they should even go out with the Prophet ﷺ in the battlefield because they are hypocritical. They didn't even desire it. But why? Allah said, had they desired to march forth, is it not free will? وَلَوْ أَرَادُوا الْخُرُوجِ. Had they desired to go to march forth along with the Prophet ﷺ to the battlefield, Allah said, they would have what? They would have made some preparation for it. So if you want something, you prepare for it. You can't just, like the example I gave of examination. Am I communicating? So Allah now says, if they had desired to march forth to fight fi sabilillah, they would have made some preparation for it, which means we have free choice. They decided not to. They didn't desire it. If we are compelled without free will, would Allah say this? Would this statement hold water? Would this verse of the Quran make sense? Well, ayadhu billah. So whatever Allah says is the truth, which means we have free will. This is a verse to justify that we have free will, because whatever Allah says is the truth. Wallahu yaqulu al-haq wa huwa yahdi as-sabil in Surah Al-Ahzab. Allah only speaks the truth. وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قِيلًا وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حَدِيثًا. In Surah 2, which surah? Surah An-Nisa. Thank God I didn't put a price tag on this. Allah said, who is truer in speech than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? None. I hope I'm making sense. Okay. Now Sheikh now goes ahead and says, فَأَثْبَتَ لِلْعَبْدِ إِتْيَانًا بِمَشِيئَتِهِ وَإِعْدَادًا بِإِرَادَتِهِ. Now the first verse, Allah said, فَأْتُوا أَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّا شِئْتُمْ. Anna shi'tum, that is Mashi'a, the way you desire, how you will, isn't it? So Allah now establish approach your wives the way you like. Do you understand? In terms of intimacy. Now, Allah had established this ityan, that is approach, basing it on what? Mashi'a, that is your desire, how you will. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wa i'dad and preparation to go out for war, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established it bi irada, that if they had willed, which means they had the choice. If they had willed, they would have prepared. If you want to approach your wives, approach the way you desire. So these 2 points in this verse, wajhu al-istidlal. Didn't we treat wajwul istidlal in this class? Subhanallah, we did it. We did it. How soon do you forget these beautiful things? Wajwul istidlal will say we can reference any verse of the Quran and it's authentic. But why are you referencing this verse with respect to the topic we are discussing? What is the relevance of this verse to the topic we are discussing? If we are discussing marriage, the verse should be relevant. If you are quoting verses, then why are you bringing this verse? It should be relevant to the issue of marriage. If we are discussing salah, the verse you are bringing should be relevant to the salah. Otherwise, if you bring a verse that is talking about jihad, we will ask you, what is the wajwul istidlal? Why are you bringing this verse? Do you understand wajwul istidlal now? The evidence, the point of making reference in a verse. Otherwise, your point will not be made. So, what is the wajwul istidlal here? Is what? Anna shi'tum walau aradu. Am I communicating? Which means we have free will. This is one point to go home with. Athani, the second point to establish the fact that whatever we do is as a result of our free will. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishes and Allah rewards according to his wisdom and justice. So whoever Allah punishes is as a result of justice. Whoever Allah admits to Jannah is as a result of his mercy. So Allah is not unjust. Why? Because you had the free will to decide not to. Why are you here in this Aqidah class? Why not in some clubs? Why not in some pubs and brothels? Why? Why are you here? Why are you seated here? You had the choice. Earlier I was demonstrating this in my house, and you know this issue of qadar, debate, isn't it? And people have a lot of questions. And the same thing, my wife was asking me certain questions, and I said, listen, let me just lie down. And I laid down. I said, I made the decision. Isn't it? I had the choice of not lying down. But now I've decided to lie down. And because I have the ability to do so, I did so. Which means I didn't know I was going to lie down. I demonstrated it in this class last week, isn't it? I didn't know I was going to lie down until it had happened. And after it has happened, I can now say Allah had written it for me to do it. But before then, I wouldn't. And someone started doing like this. Even this, Allah has written it. I say, of course. Said, of course. Allah has written it. Do you understand? Yes, Atao is touching Abba's back. Allah has written that also. That's it. That's it. The next verse we're going to reference. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said what? Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. Allah created you and what you do. Even your actions are creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has created you, and even because khaliqu kulli shay, Allah is the creator of everything. So the second point. What is this second point? The second point is what? Tawjih al-amr wan-nahi ila al-abd. The fact that people have been given directives of commands and prohibitions. Allah said, pray 5 times. Don't drink alcohol. Don't cheat. Be truthful. Be nice to your parents. Allah has given us commands. And equally, Allah has prohibited us from doing certain things. So the fact that we have been given commands and prohibitions, it's enough an evidence to buttress the fact that we have free will and ability. Otherwise, listen to what Sheikh says. Walau lam, I hope it's written in your kitab. I'm using the shirt, isn't it? Walau lam yakul lahu ikhtiyaran wa qudra lakana tawjih dhalika ilayhi min at-taklif bima la yutaq. If man ab initio, if man was not given the ability to have free will and the ability to do what he decides to do, do this and don't do that would have been Allah asking you to do what you cannot be able to do. Does this make sense? All right. The fact that you are asked to do certain things and not to do certain things means you have a choice. If there was no free will and ability alongside the free will before you act, Allah asking you to pray 5 times a day would have been Allah asking you to do what you will not be able to do. And it wouldn't have made any sense. Okay, let me give you this example. It's not a good example to give, but I'm giving. In one comedy, I was watching a comedy, and you know, the guy went and he in his foolishness, you know, we're teaching Aqidah here. So people think they can go and charm other people and command them and ask them, do this, and they do. Yes, my charm is working. You understand? So the guy went, is an ordinary, you know, security guy in the house. He wants to control the boss. So he went and met Babalao, which we are preaching against here in Aqidah class, isn't it? And the guy says, after, when the Oga came back, I'm trying to tell you that if you have no choice, or if what you're going to do is obvious, why will I ask you to do it? It doesn't make sense. If you don't have free will, why will Allah ask you to do certain things and ask you not to do certain things? So the guy was now saying, the boss came back, parked his car. What is the natural thing that you do if you park your car? You get out of the car. When you get out of the car, what is the natural thing? What is the next thing to do? You shut the car. You close the door. Isn't it? Now the guy was asking the boss the obvious. Chief, get out of the car. And the chief was on his way already out of the car. And after that I say, lock your car. Chief locked his car. The guy threw away his bucket and now looked up. My charm is working. And I said, Chief, kneel down. That was when the chief now slapped him. And the guy said, no, it wasn't me. I was possessed. Now he was asking him to do what's obvious. So would that make any sense? So if you don't have free will and ability to decide to do what you have intended to do, why will Allah ask you to do certain things and ask you not to do if he knows that you don't have free will? It would have been burdening you beyond what you can carry. That is what Sheikh says here. لَكَانَ تَوْجِيهِ ذَلِكَ مِنَ التَّكْلِيفِ بِمَا لَا يُطَاقُ. Then such directives would amount to burdening people with what they are unable to do. And what does that mean? وَهُوَ أَمْرٌ تَعْبَاهُ حَكْمَةُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى وَرَحْمَتُهُ وَخَبَرُهُ الصَّادِقُ فِي قَوْلِهِ لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا. Okay, change it quickly. I hope we are making sense. Please, who has any ishkal, any confusion regarding what we have said so far? And who has his mind cleared on certain issues regarding Qadr so far? Quickly, before they set the camera back. You learned something new now. Your mind is clear on certain things now. All right, alhamdulillah, that's the essence. Shall we? Now, it would have been what? And this would have contravened what? This would have contravened Allah's wisdom. It would have contravened Allah's mercy. It would have contravened Allah's truthfulness in a statement. La yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah does not overburden a soul beyond that which it can carry. So if Allah had not given you free will, Oga, you don't have choice, and I'm asking you to do certain things, what does it amount to? That is oppression. And Allah does not oppress anyone. I've chained you. And your hands and cuffed, your legs chained. And I'm asking you to run. That's oppression. I'm asking you to walk on water, and I've warned you not to allow yourself to get wet. How does that mean? That's zulm. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is subhanallah. Allah is perfect. You can't attribute any injustice to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, any imperfection. That is the meaning of subhanallah. Am I making sense? Now, let me give you an example. Because you have free will. A good example here is when you go to the airport or to any public space and they are cleaning, or there is water leakage, or the place is wet, what do? They put a sign. What does the sign read? Okay, before I give you this example, let me go to the first, let me reach that stage that that the example will fit in very much. It just came to me. Now, have you understood this second point? That people do things because they have the choice of doing and not doing? Please, who is not clear on this? Please, if you are not clear on it, let me know so that we can explain once more. Someone said he repeated class in his university days, during his university days at Mecca, not because he couldn't pass the examinations, but because they change the professors yearly to teach you the same topic, and each person comes with different methodology. So he repeats to gain more knowledge from different people. I had a scholar saying this, and this person was a revert that went and studied many years and became a preacher. Do you understand? Okay, back to what we're saying. الثالث, the third point, مدح المحسن على إحسانه وذم المسيء على إساءته وإثابة كل منهما بما يستحق. This is an evidence that people have free choice, free will. The praising of the one that does good deeds. When someone does a good deed, Allah praises him. When someone does evil, is censured, isn't it? Censoring of someone that does evil, that is them. You are blamed for doing evil, and you are praised for doing good. Doesn't this dictate that you have free will? That is why. Otherwise, why will I praise you if what you did, you wouldn't have been able to do it? Because otherwise, like the Jabariya people will say, Jahmiya, they say people are compelled to do things that they do. So they deny the fact that you should be held responsible for the things you do. Because they said, why should Allah hold you responsible for the sins you commit when Allah had written them? But that's a misunderstanding. Inshallah, before we close, we're going to explain how they misunderstood a verse of the Quran and what is the correct understanding of that verse. Now, مدح المحسن على إحسانه وذم المسيء على إساءته. That is what? The fact that the doer of good is praised and the sinner is censored, and that they are each recompensed according to what they each deserve. The good person deserves to be. What did Allah say in Surah Al-Rahman? Al-Jaza'ul Hal Jaza'ul Hal Harful Istifham. Isn't it? Hal. Is there any recompense for good other than good? Someone has done good. What do you expect to give him? Good. You don't pay back good with evil. You pay back love with love. Isn't it? Do you understand? Now, then, ولولا أن الفعل يقع بإرادة العبد واختياره لكان مدح المحسن عبثا. If the actions of people, you have decided to stand up at night to perform tahajjud, you have decided to give sadaqah, it's your decision, isn't it? Someone will say, okay, well, if I decide to, I will do it, inshallah. I want to help people build a mosque, a masjid. I want to help the poor. But, well, I pray Allah give me the ability to make that decision. When I decide I can donate, isn't it? If your action, your righteous deeds are not as a result of your decision, what happens? Praising you for doing a good deed would have been absurdity, an absurd thing. It would have been abathan. Why should I praise you for doing something that you wouldn't have been able to avert? Isn't it? The praise is because you have decided to do it. Now that you have decided to do it and you did it, then we now know that Allah has written it. But the knowledge of Allah has preceded all of this. Allah is not like us. When we start thinking of Allah as the creation, we'll miss out on understanding the concept of qadr. So the knowledge of Allah is all encompassing. You don't think of the knowledge of Allah the way you think of how you know things. So Allah knows, and He has informed us beforehand that He knows everything, but we don't know. So that Allah knows everything, we don't know. We only act based on what we know. And we don't know what is unknown. Am I making sense? Umur al-ghaybiyah, we don't know them. We don't know things that are in the future unless they happen. Okay. وَعُقُوبَةُ الْمُسِيءِ ظُلْمًا, and the punishment of the sinner would have been an oppression. It would have been wickedness. Because you have not given him free will. Now, under this, what do I have to tell you here? What do I have to tell you here because of free will? What happens to a person in Islam if he's forced to do something not out of his free will? Does he get punished? Does he get punished? Why is he not punished for doing things that he's forced to do? Because now it's not as a result of his free will. Because he's forced to do it, you are only held responsible for what you do out of your free will. So the Prophet ﷺ says, in the narration on the strength of Ibn Abbas and the Sunan of Ibn Majah, it is authentic, an authentic narration. The Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allah tajawaza li an ummati al-khata'a wal-nisyan wa mastukrihu alayhi. We did this hadith when we were treating Arba'un al-Nawawi. And we treated this hadith for almost 4 weeks, isn't it? Do you still remember? You were there. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah has forgiven, Allah overlooks, Allah does not put you to task of what you do out of mistake, of what you do out of forgetfulness, and what you do out of duress and coercion. These three things, when you are forced to drink alcohol, you will not be punished. That's why a woman that is raped is not punished. But the person that rapes her is punished to the extent of him being killed to some extent. But the lady is not punished. But a woman that commits zina willingly, she's punished. What is the difference? It's the same act. It's the same act. Why the difference in the punishment? The other one, free will. Consent. Did I write an article about consent? Oh, I shared an article written by Ilyas Abu Amina. He wrote a beautiful masterpiece on that. And when they were discussing that consent nonsense thing, I wanted to write, then I now came across this beautiful article on consent and how the Europeans are using this issue of consent to downgrade zina and other sinful things. That as long as it's consent, well, as long as it is consensual, then you are held responsible for it. But if you are forced to do it, you are raped. The lady that is raped or the guy that is raped, it happens both ways, isn't it? Will not be punished, but the one that is guilty of the act. So the one that at gunpoint asks you to deny the existence of Allah, if you do that, Allah will not hold you responsible. Who can give me that verse? I'll give you a clue. Quran chapter 16, Surah An-Nahl. Who can give me and the name of the Sahaba? 500 naira and you follow me downstairs to get your money. The Sahaba, the name of the Sahabi, and the verse, or the verse only, or the name of the Sahabi. Cancel. Subhanallah, this guy will go home with 1.5 today. But it's not a complete verse. I don't accept half verse. Anyone, the name of the companion or the verse complete. Okay, time has elapsed. Man kafara billahi min ba'di imanihi illa man ukriya you know, in what? Illa man ukriya wa qalbuhu mutma'innu bil iman. Anyone that renegates and becomes an apostate after he has believed, Allah will punish that person. That person will go to hell. Illa istithna, except the one that has been forced to renegade. So at gunpoint, say I'm a kafir, I don't believe in Allah. If you do it, Allah will not hold you responsible for that. Because it is not your free will now, you have been forced to do it. That is why we have to believe that whatever we do is as a result of our choice. That is why Islamically, when you are forced to do something, you are not punished. And even the Sharia has given us a clause, a legal maxim, that what? Al-mushakkatu tajlibu taysir. Difficulties begets what? Ease. And necessity also gives us what? Ad-darurat tubihul mahdhurat. Darura, necessity, makes haram permissible. This guy is about to die. The only thing available is the meat of a pork. The only thing available is blood, flowing blood. The only thing available is gulda, Hennessy, and he's about to die. He takes it, he survives. Allah is not going to punish him. He's not going to be flogged for taking alcohol. That's the beauty of Islam. So can you see that you're only held responsible for things you do out of your own free will and ability, not things you are forced to. So this should make us understand qadar in a beautiful manner. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Then Arabia, and when we reach the fifth one, we will end, inshallah, and continue. Okay, next week I'll not be around, inshallah. I have 2 lectures, Kano and Lagos. So the weekend, I'm not going to be around, inshallah. So Arabia, the fourth one, Anna Allah Ta'ala arsala rusul. That is another evidence. Why will Allah send messengers if you don't have free will? So you have the will. If I send someone to you, it means you have the choice of either accepting the message or not accepting the message. So if there was no free will and ability, Allah wouldn't have sent any messenger. So Anna Allah Ta'ala arsala rusul. Allah sent messengers. Mubashirina wa mundhirin. What did we see in this class? Mubashirina, they give glad tidings to whom? To whom? To the believers. Wa mundhirina, they warn. They warn whom? The kuffar. Every messenger of Allah comes to give glad tidings to the believers that they are going to Jannah, and they warned the unbelievers that they are going to hellfire unless they change their ways. Okay. لِأَلَّا يَكُونَ لِلنَّاسِ عَلَى اللَّهِ حُجَّةٌ بَعْدَ الرُّسُلِ, so that man will not have any plea against Allah after the messengers have been sent. Now, what is the gist here? What do you say? وَلَوْلَا, what is the mafhum here? What is the understanding of this verse? وَلَوْلَا أَنَّ فِعْلَ الْعَبْدِ, is it written in your kitab? وَلَوْلَا أَنَّ الْفِعْلَ الْعَبْدِ عفوا ولولا أن فعل العبد يقع بإرادته واختياره ما بطلت حجته بإرسال الرسل. If the action of the slave was not as a result of his free will and ability, then the sending of the messengers wouldn't have invalidated his plea. Am I making sense? That is the mafhum. Now let me break it down. Let me give you this beautiful example. Let me start with my profession. When you go to site, engineer, you are here, isn't it? Architect, you are here too. Part of the requirement when you are doing construction on site, safety principles, safety measures. When you are digging a trench, what do you do around the trench? You put a caution tape, that red, white tape, around the trench, and you put a sign. Why do they put danger ahead, road under construction? Why do they put wet flow? Why do they put signs if there are dangers ahead, sharp bend ahead? For the one that constructs the road, for the one that is digging a trench, is putting all these signs. Why? This is like sending a messenger. If you don't put those signs and someone comes to your site and falls into the ditch, you are culpable. You are culpable. You will be held responsible. If you don't tell me that there is a wet flow at the airport and I slip, I'm going to sue you, legal action, and I will win the case. I will win the case. So now, because you don't want, I've given you the choice. There is a trench. The floor is wet. Now, if you go ahead and walk through and sleeps, that is your cup of tea. You're not going to hold me responsible, because if I go to the court of law, I'm going to tell you that I put a sign. So Allah said, because, why now? Because you have the choice after being told that there is danger ahead to back out or to continue. If I tell you that this thing is flammable or inflammable, someone says, my good friend, I say you are as useless as the in inflammable. You know, flammable and inflammable is the same. So he said you are as useless as the in inflammable, because it doesn't make any sense. It adds nothing to it. So they say highly flammable. Then you go close to it with your lighter or cigarette and you get burnt. Do you think you're going to sue them? You can't sue them. Because now you have the choice of going close to it with a lighter or going farther away from it if you know you have a lighter. Am I making sense? So the fact that, why do we put signs? Please, if you can answer this for me. No money. I'll pray for you. Why do you put signs? Why do you put signs? So that someone will have a choice. So that, because you know, if I tell you, will your sign make any sense to a madman? Or a blind man? If a madman goes ahead and falls in the trench, will you hold him responsible? Say, Allah Kara? So why then is Sharia mute on the sins of the mad people? Sharia is not holding them responsible. Am I making sense? Sharia is not holding them responsible. So you are only responsible for what you are able to do. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Does this make any sense? Okay. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enrich us with beneficial knowledge. So, accident could occur. So, will you still blame the person if an accident occurs? Will someone that as a result of accident sleeps, will you hold him responsible completely for will he be guilty? If someone mistakenly lights up a matchstick near a gas cooker that is leaking, or near a gasoline, and it blows him up, will you say Allah Kara? Will you sympathize with him because it's a mistake? So the same way Islam sympathizes with you. If you do things out of mistake, Allah will not hold you responsible for them. So all these things I'm pointing out is to establish the fact that whatever you do is as a result of your free will. The fifth one, and we are ending. أن كل فاعل يحس أنه يفعل شيء أو يتركه بدون أي شعور بإكرائه. Anyone that does any act, he does it without feeling compelled and coerced to doing it. Who forced you to come to this Aqeedah class now? Except for Ansar, that was forced. Who forced you to sit down to listen for an hour? If you said, I'm leaving in the first 10 minutes, will anyone ask you not to leave? The fact that you are here means you feel not compelled. So don't pressurize anyone. Allow things to work naturally. Do you understand? Don't allow anyone to feel pressured and you blame the person. Allow people to walk naturally in their natural way. Isn't it? Free will. Let them choose. Now, the fact that when you do things, you don't feel compelled. Isn't it? Okay, I want to go to the supermarket. It's my choice. I've decided to do so. I don't feel compelled. Nobody is forcing me to do it. And I'm happy doing it because I'm not forced to doing it. So the fact that you do things and you don't feel compelled to do them, it means you have free will to do them. Otherwise, you wouldn't have done anything. You don't do things that you don't feel like doing. Why should you force me to remove my beard? I have the choice of keeping it. Why should you force me to come to a party when I don't want to attend such gatherings, for example? Why do you have to force someone to do something that he doesn't want to do, for example, of ibadah, not things of mu'amala? I hope I'm making sense. So the fact that you do this for huwa yaqum, you stand up. Wa yaqud, you stand up. You do what? What do? You stand up. You sit. Wa yadkhul, you enter into, isn't it? Wa yakhruj, the guy that is standing outside has free will, choice not to come in. He has decided to do so. He wants to listen to the class from window. That's it. You can't force him. And that's an indication of someone having a free will. He's doing it without feeling compelled. Although psychologically I'm compelling him to come in, isn't it? So I'm guilty of compelling him to do what he is determined not to do. So you can't compel a powerful majority to do what they're determined not to do. And this powerful majority could be an individual. Am I making sense here? Now, when you safir, you travel. You decide not to travel, you reside. بِمَحْضِ إِرَادَتِهِ. Why do you do all these things? By its own free will and volition. Well, I want to travel. Well, it's your decision. I want to reside in a particular place. It's your decision. I want to stand. It's your decision. I want to sit. It's your decision. When you're tired of sitting, you can stand up. The fact that you do all these things without feeling compelled to do them, it means you have the free will to do whatever you want to do. Now, بل يفرق تفريقا واقعيا بين أن يفعل شيء باختياره وبين أن يكره عليه مكره وكذلك فرق الشرع بينهما تفريقا حكيما فلم يؤاخذ الفاعل بما فعله مكرها عليه فيما يتعلق بحق الله تعالى. I hope I'm making sense now. You cannot put someone to task. There is a vast difference between what you do out of your free will and what you are forced to do. That is why you are not put to task. Just what I explained regarding what you did when you are what you are forced to do. Am I making sense? When it comes to the haqq of Allah. But when you are forced to steal from someone's pocket, you are forced to steal. Remember, we say bihaqqillah. Do you know why we categorically, the Sheikh stated the rights of Allah? Because when it comes to the rights of people, even when you are forced to steal someone's car, wallah, you return the car. When you are forced, you can't say, because I was forced to steal the car or to usurp his wealth, then it has become my wealth. The fact that you are forced to take someone's property does not make it your own. This is Islamic Sharia. It's the right of an individual. When the force has been removed, then you return back the right of that individual. Isn't it? You return back. But when you are forced to do an act, and that, with respect to the rights of Allah, when that force is taken, you are not asked to repeat it. You are not asked to repeat it because you are forced. So Does this make sense? We have a lot to discuss regarding Qadr, even after we're done. You can see scholars don't want to, because the Prophet actually warned the companions not to discuss, not to debate it. And you will never see the companions debating Qadr. The only time you found it was when Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, Umar bin Khattab, with the Muslims army, they were going to Syria, Sham, on an expedition. And they heard that there is an epidemic in Syria. So Umar said, radiallahu anhu, let us go back to Medina. We are not going to enter that place because there is, for example, cholera. You know, the Sunnah says what? If there is Ebola outbreak in a particular town, nobody should go into the town. Look at the Prophet teaching us all these health things. And the people residing in that area should not go out. That is spiritual quarantine. That is quarantine from Sunnah. That is what the Prophet ﷺ taught us. The beauty of Islam. You're quarantined. Don't go in, don't come out. So Umar bin Khattab, radiallahu, understanding the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, he now said, we are not entering Sham because there is outbreak of disease. Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, one of the people that were promised that they are going to Jannah for, he now said to Umar, Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, you are running away from Allah's qadar? Kai ne zaka gudu daga kaddaran Allah? Allah ya riga ya rubuta fa za mu shiga garin nan, koda da cholera. Do you know what, Umar? I love to be identified as someone that is on the path of Umar, you know, toughness. Umar said, Wallahi, kai, da ma ba kai ka faɗi wannan maganan ba. You know, Umar was surprised. Abu Ubaidah, of all people, you are the one making, I wish it was not you that is making this statement. Umar now said, yes, we are running away from Allah's qadar to Allah's qadar. Yes. We are running away from Allah's qadar to Allah's qadar. Then Umar said, don't you see that if a man has a camel and he is walking in a valley, and on this valley there are two lands on both sides. One is lushful with lushful garden, greenery, water, and the other one is dry without any food. Don't you think that if he takes his camel to the green pasture, he has gone to Allah's qadar? If he takes it to the dry one without food, he has also gone to Allah's qadar? That is your choice. After you have done it, you know which one Allah has written for you, but you have the choice of going to the lushful garden or the other one. You want to go to a town, we tell you that there are armed robbers on the road. Follow the safety route. You decide to follow the road, it's your choice at the end of the day. If they kidnap you, nobody is going to blame anyone. That is it at the end of the day. Alam ya'tikum nadhir, shin masu wazi basu zo ba? The keepers of hellfire will be asking the people that are condemned to hell. It's surprising. Didn't warners came to you? Didn't warners came to you to warn you against this day? They said, Wallahi, they came. Who can complete the verse? Surah Al-Mulk. فَكَذَّبْنَا وَقُلْنَا مَا نَزَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. They say, Wallahi, Wallahi, Maswazi Sunzu. We only belied them. We say, you are only lying. Allah hasn't sent you. In antum illa fi dhalal mubin. Qawlan. Subhanallah. The Sheikh I learned this tafsir from died last week. Oh, you see my glass on my hand. I did it as a reflex. Wallah, I learned it from him. That's qadar. I learned it from him. Wallahi, I loved him so much because he's usuli, you know, he died last week. It preaches in the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sheikh Abdullah Shankiti, Doctor. I learned this from him. Qawlan, in antum illa fi dhalalin mubin. Either the people were saying to the warners that you are just in a manifest error, or on that day the keepers of hell will tell them that in antum illa fi dhalalin mubin. Ku dai kun kasance cikin bata mabayyanai. May Allah save us. I hope at least regarding qadar you've learned a lot today. We will continue, inshallah, in 2 weeks' time. I hope there is this book here. It's translated into English language. It's a series written by Dr. Omar Al-Ashqar. It's a very brilliant book. It's a series. When we are done, inshallah, you should get it. I don't know if you're going to Darus Salam go. No, International Islamic Publishing House. It's a beautiful book. They do a lot of series. This book has dealt with the issue of qadar in a very, very amazing manner. Wallahi, it's a good, but you can't just pick it up and start reading. You need to have the fundamentals of it. That is why I won't recommend you to have it now until after we have done studying what we have in front of us. Then you can take it. It's rendered into English language, beautiful English, straightforward with references, and even the hadith that are referenced completely there with hadith numbers and everything. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. يوم وصول ثلاثه بابه هذا ko za mu je